Hi everyone, welcome into this week's My Weekly CBS Fix. Hope you had a great week and hope you have an amazing Shabbos. In this week's Parsha is Pinchos. So the Torah tells us how when Moses is about to pass on to the next world, Hashem tells him that he should instruct Joshua, his faithful student, to take over to be the next one. Now, our sages teach us that Joshua was not nearly on the same level as Moses was. And the Talmud actually makes an interesting remark that the elders of that generation had said, "Woe is to us from this humiliation and shame." And so the question is, what exactly did they mean? What exactly was going on over here? What humiliation and shame could they have been referring to, but the fact that Joshua was going to become Moses' replacement? Now the Chavetz Chaim gives a beautiful parable. He says that one time there was a very highly esteemed businessman that came to town, and he offered the simple villagers somebody to become his partner. He would take care of all the expenses. He would take care of the business, and he just needed somebody that could work hard and diligently, and he would take care of him, and he was looking for some partner. And all the villagers, who were simple people, they said, let's be wary, we're pretty skeptical of this guy. Wealthy businessman, he's probably going to take us to task. He's going to try to fool us into something, not interested, and they all turned down the position. And one guy felt, listen, I got nothing to lose. I'll go take the job. Why not? What do I have to lose? I got nothing to lose anyway. And he took the job. A few years later, these three came back to town, and they were both dressed as distinguished gentlemen. Obviously, their business ventures were quite successful, and the people who saw them quickly ran away, and out of sheer shame. And they later explained that their shame wasn't from the first entrepreneur who came to town, because they understood who he was right from the get-go. But their shame was seeing the second guy. The second guy could have been them. And they had shunned that position simply because they were skeptical, and they could have become this person that came to town. Now, when the people saw, back to Moses and Joshua, when the people saw that Hashem chose Joshua to be the replacement, even though he wasn't nearly on the same level as Moses was, but rather Raje tells us the reason why he was chosen was because of his dedication that he gave towards Moses for the 40 years that the Jewish people were in the desert. So the people looked on with humiliation and shame. And they said, Moses, he was born from an incredible cloth. He had an incredibly high soul. But Joshua, he was like one of us. We could have become that Joshua. And so therefore, the lesson for us is pretty obvious as well. We can sometimes look at other people and go, the king or the king's son, whoever he might be, I can never become that. I can never be presidential. But then there's the more common ones around us that grew up in our neighborhood and grew up the exact same way that we did, and somehow they made it. Now, we don't necessarily mean material success. We mean overall success, material success included. But they took advantage of their opportunities, and some people said, woe is me, I can't, I'm not smart enough, I'm not good enough. And the Torah is teaching us, no, you are good enough. Hashem gives you the opportunities to be able to succeed. Now, what success means, that's a different conversation. But the question is, how are we compared to Joshua? Joshua tried his hardest, and he became the second in command. I mean, he became Moses, the one to take over Moses. Those are not big shoes to follow in. But nevertheless, Hashem chose him. And so the question we just have to ask ourselves, we have to hold up the mirror and say, are we doing really the best that we can? Hashem is giving us opportunities to grow. We have to seize those opportunities. And if we do, we can become the best who we can become. Have a great Shabbos. Thank you for listening.